Did you know that most of our daily reactions are not really conscious choices? They are automatic habits built from our emotions and past experiences. We snap, we defend, we argue, and then we regret. What if you could pause that automatic chain for just a moment, and in that pause, completely change the outcome? That is exactly what today's book is about. Welcome to Briefly, where we transform books into experiences you can feel and remember. I am Vikram, your Briefler, and today we are diving into The Power of Not Reacting by Sri Swathi, a beautiful and deeply practical guide on how to stay calm when everything around you is testing your peace. In this fast world, our minds are constantly under pressure. We deal with stress at work, emotional chaos in relationships, and endless digital noise that demands our attention. Most of us react before we even realize what is happening. We send that angry message, we raise our voice, we replay the same arguments again and again in our heads. But what if I told you that true emotional strength is not about never feeling anger or fear, but about choosing how to respond to them? Sri Swathi's The Power of Not Reacting is not just another book on self-control, it is a journey into understanding your own emotional wiring, why we react the way we do, and how we can train our mind to pause, breathe, and respond with awareness instead of impulse. It reminds us that calmness is not weakness. It is a superpower that changes the way we see the world. Through this book, we will meet characters and ideas that make these lessons come alive. You will hear about wise kings who learn humility through anger, about ordinary people who find peace in the middle of chaos, and about the subtle science of emotions that explains what happens inside your brain when you are triggered. The author combines stories, psychology, and real-world techniques to show how anyone can gain control over emotional storms. From mindful breathing to quiet observation, each page teaches you how to slow down the racing thoughts that make life feel overwhelming. And slowly you begin to notice something powerful. When you stop reacting instantly, the world around you begins to shift too. Arguments become conversations, frustrations turn into understanding, problems start to look more like puzzles than disasters. Imagine being able to handle criticism without losing your peace. Imagine facing chaos and still feeling steady inside. That is what mastering the art of not reacting feels like. It is not about suppressing emotions or pretending to be calm. It is about recognizing the emotion, observing it, and then choosing your response consciously. This awareness becomes your armor in daily life, whether you are dealing with a difficult person, a stressful situation, or even your own negative thoughts. As we explore this book together, you will discover that the ability to pause is the foundation of emotional intelligence. You will learn how each small moment of restraint creates space for better thinking and better decisions. Over time, that space becomes peace, and peace becomes your natural state. So take a deep breath, let your mind settle, because this is not just a book summary, it is a mirror that helps you see how powerful you already are when you stop reacting and start choosing. And now, let us step into the King's lesson. It is not the fly, it is your reaction, where we will begin our journey into the heart of this powerful idea. In the last part, we spoke about the quiet power that comes from pausing before reacting. We learned that calmness is not weakness, but strength in its purest form. Now, let us step into the first story that brings this lesson to life. The King's lesson, it is not the fly, it is your reaction. Once upon a time, there was a mighty king who ruled over a prosperous land. His palace was filled with gold, music, and laughter. One evening, during a grand feast, he sat at his royal table surrounded by his ministers and guests. The food was rich, the music soothing, and the mood perfect. But just as the king lifted his spoon, a small fly landed in his bowl of soup. In that tiny moment, everything changed. The king's face darkened. He slammed his hand on the table, shouting for the servants. The room fell silent. The fly was gone, but his anger stayed. The soup was replaced, the servants punished, yet the king could no longer enjoy the feast. His mind was consumed by irritation. A wise friend who had been watching quietly leaned forward and said gently, "My king, it was not the fly that ruined your evening, but your reaction to it." The king frowned at first, unable to accept such simple words, but as he sat in silence, his anger began to cool. He realized that the wise man was right. The fly had touched his soup for only a second, but his anger had poisoned the entire night. The problem was never the fly, it was his reaction. That story sounds ancient, yet it happens to all of us every single day. Maybe you are driving to work and someone cuts you off in traffic. Or maybe you have prepared a beautiful dinner and someone makes a careless comment about it. Instantly, that small event grows bigger in your mind. You replay it again and again, each time adding more emotion to it. Just like the king, we let one tiny annoyance take control of our peace. The truth is that impulsive anger is like an unwanted guest who enters without knocking. Once it steps in, it makes a mess, ruins our focus, and drives away happiness. When we let anger take charge, our mind becomes cloudy, our words become sharp, and our decisions lose clarity. The king began to see this in his own life. His quick temper had cost him friendships, trust, and even his health, so he made a choice. The next time something irritated him, he decided to pause for just a few seconds before reacting. At first, it was not easy. The urge to lash out was strong, but slowly, that pause began to change everything. When a servant spilled water on his robe, the king took a breath and smiled. When an advisor disagreed with him, he listened instead of shouting. Each time he stayed calm, he noticed that problems were solved faster and people respected him more. Over the years, his palace became a place of peace. He found that by mastering his reaction, he could make wiser decisions and sleep better at night. The fly had taught him the most powerful lesson of all: control your reaction and you control your world. And this lesson is not just for kings, it is for every one of us. Whether it is at home, in an office meeting, or while standing in a long queue, we all face moments that test our patience. But the secret lies in that pause. Every time we take that pause, we reclaim our peace and protect our relationships. So the next time a fly lands in your soup, remember the king. Smile, breathe, and let the moment pass. Because reacting rarely fixes anything, but calmness always does. In the next chapter, we will look deeper into why we bite, the brain on emotions, and understand what really happens inside our minds when we lose control. In the last chapter, we met a wise king who learned that peace begins not in the world around us, but in our own reaction to it. That story showed us that calmness is a choice, and that one moment of awareness can turn anger into understanding. But you might still wonder, why is it so hard to make that choice? Why do we explode even when we know we should stay calm? To answer that, let us move into the next chapter: why we bite the brain on emotions. Think about the last time someone said something that hurt you. Maybe a co-worker dismissed your idea, or someone cut you off on the road. Before you could think, your heart started racing, your chest tightened, and you wanted to shout back. That instant rush is not your fault. It is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do, to protect you. Deep inside the brain sits a small almond-shaped region called the amygdala. It is the ancient part of our mind that triggers the fight or flight response. When we sense a threat, whether it is a tiger in the jungle or a rude comment on social media, the amygdala takes control. It floods the body with adrenaline and cortisol, preparing us to fight, flee, or defend ourselves. In those few seconds, the logical part of the brain, the part that helps us reason and choose, gets pushed aside. We stop thinking and start reacting. Now, this response was extremely useful thousands of years ago. If a wild animal attacked, that burst of energy and focus could save our life. But in the modern world, the same system misfires. When the danger is just a disagreement or a delay, our body still reacts as if our life is at stake. Our heart beats faster, our breathing quickens, and our mind narrows in on the threat. We become blind to reason, and words we never meant to say come flying out. Imagine this like a fire alarm that goes off not only for real fires but every time you burn a slice of toast. The alarm is meant to protect you, but it ends up creating panic instead. In the same way, our emotional wiring can cause us to overreact to small triggers that do not deserve such intensity. Science has shown that when anger takes over, our decision-making abilities drop sharply. We make choices that we later regret. We send messages we wish we could delete. Relationships suffer because uncontrolled emotions blur our sense of empathy and understanding. Over time, constant emotional outbursts can weaken trust, both at work and at home. People start to feel unsafe around us, unsure of when the next reaction might come. But here is the good news. Once we understand this wiring, we can begin to take back control. We can learn to catch ourselves in that critical moment between stimulus and response. Picture it like a curve. The anger spikes, the mind tightens, and right before the reaction escapes, there is a tiny window, a pause, where choice still exists. In that window, even a single deep breath can make all the difference. When we slow our breathing, we send a signal to the brain that the threat is not real. The amygdala calms down and the thinking part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, comes back online. Suddenly, clarity returns. We start to see that the situation is not as big or as personal as it felt a few seconds ago. This simple act of pausing and breathing can transform a heated argument into a calm discussion or a bad day into a manageable one. So the next time you feel the bite of anger rising inside you, remember that it is your ancient brain trying to protect you. Smile at it, thank it, then gently remind yourself that not every trigger deserves a battle. In the next chapter, we will explore the power of a pause, breathing, and mindful awareness, and learn how this tiny moment of stillness can help us master both our breath and our emotions. In the previous chapter, we explored how our brain sometimes hijacks our calm, turning simple moments into emotional storms. We learned that when the amygdala takes control, it floods our body with stress hormones and makes us react before we can even think. But if the problem starts in the mind, is there a way to regain control before the reaction takes over? The answer lies in something surprisingly simple, the pause. And that brings us to this chapter, the power of a pause, breathing, and mindful awareness. Imagine this: you are in the middle of a tense meeting. Someone criticizes your idea in front of everyone. Your heart starts pounding, your throat tightens, you can feel the heat rise in your chest. In that instant, every part of your body is urging you to defend yourself, to snap back. But what if instead of reacting, you just paused and took one slow, deep breath? This is what soldiers, athletes, and even high-pressure professionals do when they face chaos. They rely on a powerful technique called tactical breathing. It is incredibly simple. Breathe in slowly through your nose, hold for a second, and then breathe out through your mouth. Just that one conscious act signals your brain that you are safe. Your heart rate slows down, your body relaxes, and suddenly the fog begins to clear. You are back in control. Navy soldiers have used this method for years in life or death missions. But the truth is, you and I can use it just as effectively in everyday life. Before a difficult conversation, while stuck in traffic, or when someone tests your patience. Think of breathing as your personal reset button. Each breath is a small reminder that you can always return to calm no matter what is happening outside. But breathing alone is only half the story. The second tool that transforms reactions into awareness is mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is not about sitting on a mountain or chanting in silence. It is simply about being fully present, noticing what you feel, what you think, and what your body is doing in this very moment. You can practice mindfulness anywhere. When you are walking, pay attention to the rhythm of your steps. When you are eating, notice the texture of your food. Even when you are feeling angry, just say to yourself, I am feeling angry right now. That simple statement does something magical. It separates you from your emotion. Instead of being swallowed by it, you begin to observe it. Let us take an example. Someone snaps at you and you feel irritation rising in your stomach. Normally you would fire back without thinking. But this time you take a deep breath, recognize the anger, and silently say, this is what anger feels like. In that instant, you are no longer reacting. You are responding with awareness. The emotion loses its power because you have seen it clearly. Breathing and mindfulness work together like two sides of the same coin. Breathing calms the body, mindfulness clears the mind. Together, they create space between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. That space is where your strength lives. That space is the pause. Every great leader, every wise teacher, every calm parent has mastered this pause. It does not mean they never feel angry or upset. It means they have learned to delay the reaction long enough to make a conscious choice. With practice, this becomes natural. You breathe, you notice, and you choose your next move wisely. So remember this, the pause is not weakness, it is wisdom in motion. Each deep breath is a quiet declaration that you are in charge of your emotions, not the other way around. In the next chapter, we will see how this awareness turns into a daily practice in respond, do not react, building the habit, where small, consistent actions help us live with calm strength every single day. In the last chapter, we explored the simple but powerful act of pausing, how a single breath and a moment of awareness can turn chaos into calm. But awareness alone is not the destination. The real transformation begins when that awareness becomes a daily habit. This next step is what we call respond, do not react, building the habit. Reactions are quick. They come from the survival part of the brain, the one that wants to strike, defend, or escape. It is like a spark that jumps before you even know it is there. A response, on the other hand, is slower, deliberate, and conscious. It is the space between the spark and the flame. When you respond, you are choosing clarity over chaos. Think about the last time someone said something hurtful. Maybe a co-worker questioned your effort, or a friend made a sarcastic remark. The instant urge was probably to snap back or shut down. That is reacting. But if you paused for even 2 seconds, took a slow breath, and thought, what is the best way to handle this? That is responding. That small gap changes everything. Let me share the story of Michael. He was known among his friends as short-tempered. He admitted that his anger had cost him friendships, strained his marriage, and made his workplace tense. One day, tired of feeling guilty after every argument, he decided to try something different. Whenever anger began to rise, he practiced stepping back, literally taking one breath before saying a word. In the beginning, it felt impossible. The anger was too strong, the words too ready to escape. But Michael persisted. Every time he failed, he forgave himself and tried again. Slowly, he started to notice the shift. The same situations that once made him explode no longer felt like battles. I never stopped feeling angry, he said, but I stopped letting anger control me. This was not about suppressing emotion, it was about channeling it with wisdom. His coworkers noticed the change. He started listening more and interrupting less. At home, he and his wife had calmer conversations. His children began approaching him with trust instead of fear. The difference was simple, yet profound. He had learned to respond instead of react. Michael often repeated a line that became his guiding principle: respond with reason, not emotion. Those words reminded him that calmness is not passivity, it is power under control. Each time he paused, each time he breathed before speaking, he reinforced a new pattern in his mind, one that valued peace over impulse. Building this habit takes practice, just like training a muscle. At first, your old reactions will fight to return, but with each conscious pause, your brain begins to rewire itself. You start noticing your emotions earlier. You sense the tension building before it bursts. And with that awareness, you gain the freedom to choose. It helps to remind yourself that every pause is a victory. You might not handle every situation perfectly, and that is fine. What matters is progress, not perfection. With time, this practice becomes second nature. You find yourself staying calm in traffic, speaking softly during disagreements, and forgiving quicker than before. Responding instead of reacting is not about being emotionless. It is about feeling deeply but choosing wisely. It is the difference between a match that burns you and a candle that lights your way. In the next chapter, Calm in Action, Real Life Applications, we will see how this mindset works in real world challenges, from handling criticism to making tough decisions, and how calmness can become your most practical superpower in daily life. In the previous chapter, we saw how choosing to respond instead of reacting can completely reshape our inner world. That small pause between stimulus and response is where our true power lives. Now it is time to take that understanding into the real world, into the messy, unpredictable moments of daily life. This is where calm turns into action. Welcome to Calm in Action, Real Life Applications. Many people mistake calmness for weakness. They think being silent means accepting defeat, or that patience equals passivity. But real calm is not about staying quiet because you are scared. It is about choosing silence because you are in control. It is the strength to stand steady when everything around you feels like a storm. Picture yourself in a heated office meeting. Voices are rising, opinions are clashing, and someone directs a harsh comment at you. The old you might have fired back instantly, eager to defend yourself. But this time you breathe, you hold eye contact, keep your voice level, and respond with clarity. The tension begins to settle, and others notice your composure. That is not passivity, that is leadership through emotional balance. Or imagine being at home, dealing with an argument with your partner or a family member. Emotions run high, words are sharp, and every sentence feels like fuel on fire. But instead of matching anger with anger, you decide to pause, you listen, really listen, and respond only when you have something meaningful to say. In that moment, you are no longer fighting to win, you are working to understand. That shift builds trust and keeps love alive. The same calmness works wonders in parenting. Children watch how you handle frustration far more than they listen to your advice. When you lose your temper, they learn to do the same. But when you stay composed, even when they test your patience, they begin to mirror that calmness. You teach them emotional strength, not through words, but through your presence. There is a saying that captures this truth beautifully. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. When you lash out, the other person might forget it in a day, but the stress lingers in your body. Your peace is the price you pay. But when you choose not to react, you are not suppressing emotion. You are protecting your inner space. You are saying, my peace matters more than winning this argument. This practice brings power in every area of life. At work, your calm focus helps you make better decisions and see solutions others miss. In relationships, people start trusting your stability. Friends seek your advice. Even strangers can sense your grounded energy. Calm people attract respect because they make others feel safe. And here is the beauty of it. You do not have to be perfect to live this way. You just need to notice when you are about to react and give yourself that extra breath. Over time, this becomes second nature. You will find that even in chaos, you can stay clear, kind, and confident. So the next time someone tests your patience, remember, not reacting is not weakness, it is mastery. It is the quiet confidence that says, I choose peace over impulse. In the next and final chapter, conclusion, your turn to practice, we will bring all these lessons together and explore how you can make calmness not just an idea, but a lifelong way of living. We have come a long way together through the power of not reacting by Sri Swathi. From the king who lost his temper over a fly, to Michael who learned to pause before responding, to the quiet strength found in breathing and mindfulness. Every story has carried one simple yet powerful truth. Calmness is not something we are born with, it is something we build, one conscious moment at a time. In the last chapter, we explored how calmness can be put into action, how it shapes the way we speak, listen, and live. Now, it is time to bring all of this together. This is conclusion, your turn to practice. Think about what we have really discovered in this journey. The secret to emotional control is not in suppressing feelings or pretending to be unaffected. It lies in noticing emotions without letting them drive the car. A deep breath, a short pause, a second of awareness. These tiny acts can change the entire direction of your day. That single pause is where the power of not reacting truly lives. Every story we explored in this book points back to this idea. The king learned that it was not the fly but his reaction that ruined the feast. The brain chapter showed us how our ancient wiring pushes us to react before we think. Then we learned how breathing and mindfulness can calm the storm inside us, and how people like Michael turned that practice into a daily habit. Finally, we saw how calmness, when put into action, becomes the strongest form of leadership and compassion in real life. If you look closely, the lesson is simple yet profound. Emotions are natural, reactions are a choice. You cannot stop anger or fear from showing up, but you can decide how to welcome them. Will you let them take control, or will you greet them with awareness? Each time you pause, breathe, and respond with reason instead of emotion, you grow stronger. You teach your mind that peace is more powerful than impulse. It does not happen overnight. Like building any muscle, emotional control needs training and patience. But every time you catch yourself before reacting, whether in traffic, at home, or during a heated conversation, you are rewiring your mind. You are proving to yourself that calm is a skill you can master. Here is a simple practice you can begin today. The next time irritation rises, do not rush to defend or attack. Instead, breathe in slowly for a count of 5, then exhale just as slowly. In that brief moment, ask yourself, what will help and what will hurt? That single breath gives your wisdom a chance to step forward. You might be amazed by how peaceful the result feels. So as we close this journey, remember this: life will always test your calm, but you are never powerless. The strength of stillness, the courage to pause, and the choice to respond with clarity, These are the real signs of mastery. If this journey through the power of not reacting resonated with you, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Tell us about a moment where you chose calm over chaos. Every story matters because calmness grows stronger when it is shared. This was Vikram, your Briefler from Briefly, bringing you life, changing lessons in minutes. Until next time, keep breathing, keep learning, and keep growing.